which is learning disability. So you may say, the student doesn't understand. So you tell them, let's
And a very good evening to you, and welcome to today's edition of Politics 101. Want to welcome you all wherever you're joining in from, whether you're joining in from Guyana, um, wider Caribbean, North America, Europe, wherever you are, Suriname, French Guyana, Brazil, wherever you are. Welcome down to Politics 101, the Monday night edition. I see my brother Compton is on. I see you at big wedding this weekend, boy. Um, see you at big wedding, giving away the younger ones. Well, we're getting older now, and we have to be father giver and mother giver to our to our younger ones. You know, Tommy, very good evening. Very good evening to you, Corinne and Claire and Myrtle and Destiny. Welcome to Politics 101, the Monday edition, where we're going to be chatting about the politics over the last week or so, and then we're going to take your calls later on. Well, you all are veterans. I see my brother Orin there, Orin Newton, the man Boomba from Bostonians, all the way out in one of the islands there. I don't know if it's Bermuda or Tortola or one of those places, but it's one of those islands that Guyanese hardly go to. When my brother is out there, the man Turkey. You might not like me saying Bumba. Vibert, the man from Grove, from the East Bank. Welcome down, Brian and Ruth Baffigans. I know the Baffigans are beefy people. They might be Baffigans at other places, but as an East Coast man, I know the Baffigans are generally from BV. Better for Wachtim, better for Wacom. Diane, Leroy, the Turks and Caicos Islands, that's where my brother is. My brother Bumba, or in Newton. Turks and Caicos is out there. Welcome, my brother. And then GT Rude Gyal. That's a very popular name. I hear that name on all the shows. Paulette. Welcome to Mitch. Marla, that's a name I recognize. I recognize as a regular. Bernard is a regular. June, I want to welcome Leroy McLean. Welcome down. You all share the link and like the Politics 101 page and all that stuff so we can grow our viewership. I want to. So a lot has been happening. A lot has been happening on the news this past week. As we know, Brian from London. Brian, I want to be very careful. We in Guyana always say Braffit, but the Bajan say Braithwaite. You know, But I'll stick. I'll be Guyanese tonight. Brian Braffett from London joining us, and Gloria Pod. That's quite an unusual Guyanese name, but we have all of them. Thank you very much for joining us. Brian is joining us from Linden, and then we have North Rumveld. Them big people in the villages, you say Rimfelt. The V become the F, Kelly or Kelly. I don't want to be very careful because people are very particular with their names. Mortimer McIntosh. Good night, Dr. Hinds. I'm losing rest all because I love listening to you, my brother. I'm prepared to have a hard night at work listening from New Jersey. On the phone, the night work, Brother Bob went to Delaware, Wilmington, Delaware to join his mother, and he used to work the night shift, working on a forklift, and the usual Bob Marley made a song. It's all right, working on the night shift. The night shift is hard. When I first went to America way back in the 80s, I used to work the night shift at a gas station, the graveyard shift. I would wait tables, would go to class during the day, and then I waited tables from 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and I went from there straight to the 11 o'clock graveyard shift at the gas station. Those were days. Those our younger people come to America now, they don't have to do all those kinds of stuff. But some people still do it. So my brother, I'm glad I'm helping to keep your company on the night shift. Corinne, good night. And Barbados, Monique is joining us from Barbados, Maryland. Keith Farley, I know that name well. I met Keith a couple of times. I met Keith Memorial Day weekend at our house. In those days, we used to have Memorial Day weekend, and me and my brother George, our house, my brother George and my brother Brian, our house used to be the place to hang out, and Keith came. Keith is from a famous family. His uncle was a man named Rolf Farley, who they said he was a good economist, more than a good economist, but he was a rival to Forbes Burnham in the early days of the party. People felt that Rolf Farley was as good as Burnham, and his nephew Keith. Welcome all of you. I think I got to Bakersville in the house. Bakersville in the house, West Bank. And Bakersville, is one of those villages, very cultural. As a little boy, when we danced in Kwekwe, we had a Kwekwe group named Tuta Shinda in Buxton. Kwame Pata was the leader of that group, and we used to go up and down the coast dancing Kwekwe. And when we would land in Bakersville, it was competition, who know more Kwekwe song? The Bakersville group versus the Buxton group. That's a long story way back in the 1970s. Used to enjoy West Bobis. That was another place. You used to get big competition. And then, of course, places like Firish and so on the quarantine. Stephen, good night, good night, good night, good night. Good night, Miss Cummins. Rowena Cummins. I think there's a East Bank lady. Welcome all. And I'm glad I get them. Somebody all the way from Corriverton. In the old days, we say Springals. Corriverton was a nice name. But welcome, Alwyn, watching from Corriverton. That's the end. That's the end of the thing, I got a partner, Pudding. I got to Canada and I said, Pudding, well, we got to go by Brian Moses. Pudding said, oh, Jesus Christ. Brian the fire. He said, where Brian live? He said, Brian live till a spring lands by. And Brian lived a little bit outside of Toronto, you know. But him say, the man lived till a spring lands by. Fine, you gotta go. Oh boy, those were the good night, everybody. Good night, Deborah and Sarah and Paul Henry, watching from Cleveland, Ohio. Ah, Paul watching from Cleveland. You see, we got so many people in the house. I got family in Cleveland, the Osborns. My family from Cleveland, my uncle, Winston Osborne, died about 2 years ago, 3 years ago. This November would have been 2 years, and they live in Shaker Heights. Paul, your community there in Cleveland is small, so I'm sure you know the Osborns and so on. And then we have St. Kitts in the house. St. Kitts Nevis. In the old days, it used to be St. Kitts Nevis and Willow. Now it's St. Kitts Nevis. Quite a Guyanese community there. I used to go to St. Kitts quite a lot. I used to go to the St. Kitts Music Festival. I think they pioneered that thing, the music festival. St. Lucia has one now, and I think the other Eastern Caribbean countries. But St. Kitts is one of my real favorite places, very similar to Guyana in their language patterns, very similar. And when you investigated it, St. Kitts, Barbados, and Guyana were really the sugar centers in the Caribbean. So there used to be a lot of movement between St. Kitts, Barbados, and Guyana. And believe it or not, although Bajans speak distinctly Bajan, people who are not West Indian usually confuse Guyanese with Bajans. I still can't work it out because Bajans have such a distinct accent, but people sometimes think that we are. Gloria Fraser, welcome all. We have the West Side in the house, I suppose. That's West Coast Demerara. Diamond in the house. And you know, Diamond was always that spot. When you go into the airport, when I was a little boy, you go into the airport, you know when you meet in Diamond. I suppose it's still there now, but we don't attach a significance. But you know when you meet in that Diamond, the smell, the sugar smell, Diamond had that unique smell. And you know when you meet in Diamond, you know when you're a small boy, somebody coming in from America, or your mother going back from America, and you think when you pass in Diamond, that smell, the sugar smell. Joyce Van Kooten. Van Kooten, I know the Van Kooten from the Kendron, around the area on West Coast. Well, that would be East Bank Essequibo. They're there. And of course, our friend Albert Morgan, number 51 of Union Neighborhood. You know, we visited with Albert when I was there in August. We had a nice meeting. It's always good to get up there. The people in Union are something else. I mean, I could be talking about some villages. And look who's in the house, Sanford. Sanford. You know, Sanford was one of those places that's down the river in Berbice. It was a small boy going there to a drum festival. Ascre had perhaps the only drum festival in the country. Down at Sanford, down the river there. They're rich community down that river, you know. And we know of Ithaca on the west side of the Berbice River, but on the east side of the Berbice River. You know, you go down there, you go down the Berbice River, you go down Kanji River and so on. The Gladys Passad, welcome, always. Lynette Greenwood, watching from Annandale. Annandale, when I get to Annandale in West Coast, Berbice. But next door to me, of course, is the Annandale. The people there will call themselves the real Annandale. I would say Annandale. Annandale. There used to be rivalry between Boxing and Annandale, you know. Annandale people say them are the real Africans, them are Congo people. Congo High Nation. Congo High Nation. Wonderful times, really some icon, mostly women. Miss Irene, Miss Rowe, Miss Fadi, uh, uh, Miss some of the names now they're gone, but those ladies taught people like me everything, everything we know about culture, real culture people, and they kept that culture going. I'm from Barbados. Barbados, just become a republic, after a long time. Little England has let loose, let go let go of the Queen, and they're now their own country with their own president. Welcome to the Republic. Even the same days from Irish. I have really fond memories of Irish. Again, going to Irish to dance quick. When you go down on Irish back then, mosquito lad, I never see mosquito. But so, like in Irish. And I remember an old lady, she was over 100 years. When we sing quick. 4 o'clock in the morning, we run out of song. She teach me a song. Over by over gal, over by over gal, come. I remember Irish good things. And my brother Marlon is in St. Lucia. Marlon Williams. I think it might be the Marlon Williams from the AFC, former General Secretary, I think, but that's the name. But Marlon from St. Lucia. St. Lucia, for me, apart from Guyana, that's my favorite Caribbean island. Lovely. You're flying into St. Lucia in the night. You think you're in paradise. You think you're in paradise. I used to be in St. Lucia 3-4 times a year. Love, I really, really love St. Lucia. One of my favorite politicians, George was from St. Lucia. Really wonderful. And Glasgow, Scotland is in the house. Wow. Glasgow and Scotland in the house, lot of Scottish people, white people came to Guyana, say you see a Scotsman in the night riding horse, and the Scottish churches that they had there. Good that everybody's joining. Essequibo Coast. Essequibo Coast is in the house. So you see, we have a diverse, and of course, Brooklyn, Yvette from Brooklyn, and I'm told that there's an Annandale and there's Essequibo Coast too. Thank you, Ralph. I forget that. Annandale on the Essequibo Coast. And then we have people from Good for Walking. It's really good, wonderful. Yes, Port Kaituma. Port Kaituma is in the house. That is Northwest. We never said Northwest in the old days. Northwest. And we didn't say Port Kaituma, we said Port Kaituma. Brother from my village, he just died the other day. Chassis Thomas. Left box and he go away. He said, Auntie, when Mr. Thomas lives, she said, Port Kaituma. Welcome, Port Kaituma in the house. And listen, it's lovely that we know geography. You go to a place like America and they don't know geography, They don't even know the geography of America, much more the rest of the world. And it's good. It's good that we are there. Welcome, Dong, everyone. Althea Hudson, welcome, Dong. And tonight, we're going to be talking about a lot of politics. As usual, that's what we talk a lot of politics. The PNC had their nomination day was on Friday, and lots of excitement around nomination. Of course, lots of people were nominated to various positions, but the position, of course, that we are most concerned about, and that is the position for leader. We had the front runners, Aubrey Norton, Richard Van West Charles, and Joe Harmon. Aubrey, I understand, got the majority of nominations. Followed by Harmon and Richard Van West Charles, quite a lot of interest. So no Granger. That is what we know for sure. Granger will not be running. And Valder Lawrence, the current chairman, will not be running. Those were two people who were talked about as getting into the race late, but we know Mr. Granger is not going to run. Mr. Harmon is Mr. Granger's person in the race, we understand. And we don't know the reason why Mrs. Lawrence is not running. She's quite popular in Georgetown, of course. She's popular in Georgetown. She's popular among the women. Remember, she got into the race very late the last time and was able to defeat Joe Harmon for chairmanship of the party. So people were of course hoping that she would have joined the race, but she's not. Perseverance on the east bank of the Demerara. I know that place well. New Jersey's in the house, New Jersey, and my friend Desiree Simmons. I was in your neck of the woods by radio, via radio, WEAA, Morgan State University Radio. I do a program there every second Saturday of the month, the Political Hour with Dr. David Hinds. I've been doing that program for, the program has been on the air for 30 years. It's called the Caribbean Exchange. And I do every second Saturday. And I've been doing that since I lived there. I left Maryland in 1999. And I think I started in 1996. So this is about 25 years since I've been doing that program. CAMS TV rebroadcasted, well, not broadcasted it this past Saturday, and some people were able to tune into it. A lot of, kind of Caribbean politics there. Good evening, Dr. Hinds, and all the right-thinking Guyanese. I love that. French Guyana is in the house. Enough love. Guyana, we say Cayenne. Cayenne is in the house, Welcome everybody down. As I was saying, the race is on now. The race is on. 3 races for leader. Mr. Aubrey Norton got the most nominations. Whether that means something, we don't know. At the end of the day, the decisions will be made by the delegates. Now, one would assume that if you are nominated by a group, it means the majority of people in that group would have voted for your nomination. All right? So if Norton got the majority of the nominations, it means the majority of the groups that nominated him, he would have got the majority of the members. But maybe there are large groups and small groups, I don't know. Because if you can get a majority of the delegates, the majority of the groups nominating you, but there could be small groups. Somebody may get a minority of the groups nominating them, but they could get the larger groups nominating them, and the larger the groups, the more delegates they send to Congress. So one should not be too quick to read into that. I noticed the editorial of Village Voice this weekend said that it's a wide open race. It's a wide open race. Somebody's saying here, legally, Ms. Lawrence spoke to the opposition leader, and not that, legally, Ms. Lawrence should have been the opposition leader. So Mr. Green broke the laws. Somebody is saying here, Rowena, and she has Norton picture on our thing, so we know who she's supporting. All right. Jomo from the United Kingdom is in the house. So the race is a wide open race. And, you know, this is perhaps the most watched race for leader of a party anywhere in the Caribbean. And some people are saying it's a testimony to democracy within the PNC, and that may or may not be true. But here is what it is a testimony to. It is a testimony to the times we are living in. We are now, you know, the cable of the internet. You know, when cable news first came into being, started by CNN way back in 1979, 80, I think. When cable news came in, it was 24/7 news. It was a revolution in the news. And what we have now, as far as Guyana is concerned, are these shows like this one, every day, every evening of the week, every morning of the week. And so in the Guyana case, these shows are like the cable of Facebook. And so people are tuned in 24/7, wherever they are, even when they're at work. So people are much more informed, much more in tune with what's going on. So that's one of the reasons that this is an important race. Linda Campbell from Buxton back damn side, them cookie from New Jersey. I remember when I lived in Washington, D.C., they used to get, their party used to be one of the big boxing party. And we would drive down and gone to them cookie party in New Jersey. I don't know if they still keep that party, but that used to be a big boxing party you look forward to. You know, another one in around Labor Day, Punchy Party, the Sunday night. You know, those were destinations if you were Buxtonian back in the 70s, the 80s, and right into the 90s. And of course, Bonnet Party in Maryland. If you were Buxtonians, those were destinations. I notice Albany is in the house, you know. Who doesn't know Albany? When you drive in, going to Canada for the Caribana, Albany is the last place before you enter Canada. The first time I go into Canada, I come to America, my two friends, them, Bacchus and Narville, them by been to Canada before me, you know. So they said, "Aye, when you meet a Canada place, clean. If you drop your foot on the ground, you pick it up, you don't have to dust it off. Sweet." And they were making a statement in those days how Canada was so much cleaner than the United States. And it's true, it used to be. I don't know what it is now. I don't get to Canada as often as I used to, because now my August, my summers are spent in Guyana. So I miss going to Caribbean and so on. And every time I go to Canada now, it's to speak at some university. And you know, they carry you in, you make a speech, and they hustle you out tomorrow. One couple of years ago, I went there, you know, I think it was U of T in Toronto, white people and thing. And, you know, when I walk in to give me a speech, I hear, Twilly! I said, Jesus Christ. I thought it's white people alone are coming here to talk to this guy, be boxing people here, because there's my boxing false name, Twilly. Let me look, I see them Moses by and thing. From the time me done give the speech, them by pick me up and carry me, we sport all night. Next morning, they passed me by the hotel just to pick up my little suitcase to go up on the plane. So I went to give a speech, I go in the hotel, put on my thing, went to give the speech. After the speech, then boxing by picked up and came away, just to go back. So the people that pay for the hotel, and I only stay there all of 10 or 15 minutes. That's what it is. Yes, I mean, a lot of people are saying, Marlon is saying, I hope Norton will be selected because he seems to be the one who has bravery to confront the PPP. Harmon is the imagery of Granger, who is docile in the face of PPP onslaught on APNU and its supporters. There you go. People have already decided who was a leader for the time. And I think that's what, among other things, that Aubrey Norton has going for him, that there is the perception that he would be somebody that will stand up to the PPP. And that's what going. There are people who don't like that militancy and may feel that you need to go with a soft approach to the PPP and may then favor Van Charles or Harmon. So, you know, we're all watching. People ask me if I have a horse in the race. No. You all know I belong to the WPA. I don't belong to the PNC. And I shouldn't have a horse in the race. You know, because they may say, well, somebody from another party is trying to influence the election over there. No, I don't have a horse in the race, right? Terry Ann Grenville. Terry, I don't have a horse in the race. Terry Grenville, look, the Grenville them is Belladrum people. If West Bobisa here, but the Grenville them is Belladrum. They have Granvilles. I mean, it's a Cribo course, but the Grenville them is Belladrum people. Terrian, if you are Grenville from Belladrum, raise your hand. Anyhow, welcome. Terrian is from New Jersey, and I think I know a couple of Grenville from the same New Jersey who from Belladrum. Welcome. You're all in the house. Belladrum story don't have to be told. You know, we saw what Belladrum did last year, and so we know about the revolutionary fervor in that part of the country. So as the race heats up, people, of course, are going to take their pick. We will wait and see. We'll wait and see, because whoever becomes the leader of the PNC could become the leader of the APNU, and then the leader of the coalition, and then the leader of Guyana. And, you know, some people are saying, well, PNC business is PNC business. Well, no, PNC business is the country business. That's a big party. The people of the country, whether they belong to the PNC or not, should know what's going on in the party. So it's a big race. We're going to open the phones a little later on, so you'll get a chance to tell us who you are supporting. Jason Paidano, welcome. Clarification needed. Are those votes being counted in their respective areas? Or will it be sent to one centralized location? No. The votes will be counted, my understanding is, the votes will be counted in the areas that they are cast. And then they will be sent to Congress Place for tabulation. So I think that's my understanding, Jason. Jason Paidano, if you, from my generation, the Paidano that you know was who I consider to be Guyana's best wicketkeeper ever, and perhaps one of the best in the West Indies, Milton Paidano, who was in the 1970s, the 1980s, was a wicketkeeper for Guyana. He's from, I think he was from New Amsterdam area. Yes, you don't hear Paidano, the last name Paidano, too often in Guyana. Terry Ann says, of course, my father was a political person from Belgium. Well, excuse me, girl. Yes. There you go. I got it right. The Grenvilles from Belgium. Aubrey's telling us here, Aubrey Austin, the Jack Dio radicalize all PPP parliamentarians. So let's stop stereotyping Aubrey Norton. There you go. There you go. And then I see a name that is quite familiar to me here, Cecilia Denise Hinds. I think I know that name. She's asking, she's saying, hi, brother. Can't wait to see you for Thanksgiving. You all know, that's my little sister, Cecilia Denise, to eat Denise. Denise Hinds. My little sister, she will say, what is this about me? But she's younger than me. That's a sister just after me. And because we were close in age, we kind of bonded. And I will be making my way to our house where the family gathers for Thanksgiving. So in a couple of days, I'll be there. And my auntie was a black pudding lady in the village. And you know what they say, when you get a blessing and you're dying, you get a skill, you pass it on to one of them. But all we just make black pudding, but Sister Denise just make it just like me auntie. So I got to get the runner, she gonna get the blood there, and so on and thing. And so we just make a big wash and basin black pudding for for Thanksgiving. Yes, my sister, I will be there for Thanksgiving. Thank you, my sister, for tuning in. Honest Elliott, OPNC man from Golden Grove. I hope I get it right. It's not Aslington or let's make the differentiation. I think Orlis is a Golden Grove man. He said Milton, meaning Milton Grenville, right? From Belgium. Orlis is old timer, so he would know their those old time names from the PNC. Megan Ogle, Dr. Hinds, you know the Ogles? Ogle from where? If you tell me Ogle from Buxton, of course I know the Ogle from Buxton. Look, they come out tonight to play. Melanie Brian Battersfield. Buxton, they come out to play tonight. Mel, I will see you for Thanksgiving because I know you always go to Maryland for Thanksgiving too. Mel Mother, Miss Brian, who's still going strong, was my English teacher in third form, teacher Winnie, and Mel and Ian, and all of them. Melanie, Brian, Buttersfield, Buxton in the house. Welcome down, my sister, and I'm going to see you in a couple of days in Maryland. Already saying, blessed good night to you all, beautiful Stevie family, and good night to you, Dr. Thanks. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I tell you all, Ornissa is Golden Grove from. Yes, I want to get it right, Ornissa, but I don't want to get in trouble. And look who they are, Daniel Booker. My God. Daniel, well, Daniel my running mate. And when a damn guy is my running mate, they don't come out, you don't walk. You just only go to excursion, she gonna come out, she gonna go to, if they get a little older, she gonna come out and so on. But she just stay. But once a day in the country and talent in the country, they come out every night. And when we lean over, so that said, Billy, get ready for that name yet. Oh my God. Look, the thing about when you get into public life is that those who don't know you very closely know you on the TV screen or in the newspapers on the radio, but the people who you grew up with and know you a certain way and thing, I mean, they just carry you back. They just carry you back to Orphan. No Dr. Hinds in Buxton. The most they will say is Dr. Billy. But if you come from outside Buxton, you better put it back in front because they will ups you. It's not David Hinds, it's Dr. Hinds. For them, I love it. I love it. Life in the village, growing up in the village is quite an experience. There is nothing like a village. Village is like a big extended family. It's a place that you feel safe. I always tell people when I come off the plane at Timeri, Shelly Jagan Airport, like a whole big burden just come off my shoulder. A whole big burden. And when you see me meet at boxing sideline, and me see the sign say boxing, oh Jesus Christ, like a heaven me there. Heaven! There's a sense, and I'm sure the rest of you can identify with that feeling. There is no place like home. It's good to see people who look like you, talk like you, walk like you, you know, who know you and call you by names that you're not accustomed to be called when you're in these far off lands. And it's a sense of identity, a sense of who you are, and you go there and you feel at home. Feel saying I can't understand why people are now saying that Harman is just like Granger. But during the problem within DCOM, well, Harman said that Granger should swear in, as he should have. Our you people were saying how he was going against Granger, and we wanted to take over the leadership of the party. Most of you are so two-faced. Well, Mr. Houston, Mr. Houston, it feel. Well, it's so we people are, we're contrary. Not in a bad way. It is true that during the 5 months impasse, Mr. Harman was quite radical. He said Mr. Granger should be sworn in because you had the 10 declarations. He took a very strong position. But I suppose, Whitfield, what they're talking about is after Irfan was sworn in and Mr. Harman became the opposition leader, he then, according to Guyanese people, gets off. And we got to live with it, Leaders sometimes don't give people everything they want. You take a certain position at one time and people are with you, and you take another position. And that is why, in politics, one has to always be able to explain things. And I suppose Joe has not done enough of that. I have always said, Joe, come on to these programs, explain that I once took a radical position, and over the last 15 months, I've not been too strident, and here is the reason why. Answer the questions. And, look, I said the 3 people in the race. I know Aubrey well. I know him the longest. We were at UG together, but we weren't friends then. Long afterwards, I got to know him. And we share a lot in terms of our political outlook. One of the things I like about Aubrey is that Aubrey Norton, I could have said, Aubrey, Burnham was not a saint. Burnham made some mistakes, and Aubrey would say, yes, he made some mistakes, but here is what he did well. So we could have had a conversation. For a lot of Burnhamites, to them, Burnham never made a mistake. So it was easy for somebody like Aubrey and I to become friends because he's a Burnhamite, but he's a Burnhamite that was prepared to look at Burnham in a kind of objective way. A lot of my friends, Vincent Alexander is the same way, and they could talk to me about Walter Rodney. And I could say, well, yes, Walter Rodney made some mistakes. So Aubrey has been my friend at that level. Now he's a PNC man, he's a WPA man. And so there's a point at which we part. But we good. I got to know Joe when the APNU was formed. And again, Joe and I became all right. Even when they were in government and people would say they can't get on to ministers and you're calling the phone, I could have gotten on, So I have an easy relationship with Joe. I don't know Richard Van West Charles that much, but I've spoken to him sometimes at great length. And again, we have a rapport. So at a human level, I think all 3 of these candidates are worthy. And we just have to analyze them based on the politics, And like I said, I would say to Joe, Joe, come and explain yourself. I think part of the reason Aubrey's way in front is that Aubrey has been on every show, every outlet, and he took questions, he answered questions. And so he got off, got off the blocks quicker, you know? So yes, Joe politics is not just the politics that he has exhibited since last year. He has other political outlook, you know? Joe worked at GCOM, you know. He understands that electoral system very well. So he has a strength, like all the candidates, and he has his weakness. Well, the Aubrey people are saying here that Aubrey all the way, you know. But I like the fact that people are tuned in. They're tuned in to what's happening. That is the most democratic element in the system of democracy. When people are involved in what's going on. And so it is for that reason that I think this is a very important moment for the PNC, for the country. I still think, honest, I still think the PNC has to learn how to deal with race. The PNC has to learn how to deal with race. See, I hear people quote Burnham in 1969, saying the PNC is not a black party, etc. Here is the story. Burnham didn't have to say the PNC is black because Burnham had Sidney King and Askew doing the black work, and they supported the PNC at that time. So Burnham, the political leader, didn't have to be black. Sidney King, Quayana, and Askew was doing black for Burnham. In those days, you were a YSM member and an Askew member, the same people. The YSM and Askew. So Burnham could have taken the high road because he didn't have to deal with the race question. The race question was left to the cultural arm. But once Quayana and Burnham break up, the PNC had to confront race on its own. And Burnham was savvy enough to deal with race. Burnham was not afraid to say, you know, if you kill me today, another Rasta gonna take my place. Burnham could have quoted from black thinkers and so on. Because he was in a league by itself. But once Burnham died, the PNC has always had a problem with race. Because on the one hand, the PNC understandably wants crossover votes. And I think the party believed the way to get crossover vote is to downplay anything that is black. And I think that's wrong. I think there's a way to speak to black people and Indian people and Amerindian people, Chinese and Portuguese, at the same together. Here's the story. It's not 50 of one and 50 of the other. You have to have a message for black people because they see the world differently because of their experience. They have a unique experience. The only people have experience. And so the lens through which they see the world is different from other ethnic groups. Guyana means something different to black people than it means for Indian people who came later on. And you have to have a message to Indian people. Indian people came to Guyana after enslavement. They were able to practice their religion. They were oppressed. They live in lodges. Indentureship wasn't a 3-cent system, but they still got to practice their religion. They listened to Indian music. They kept their Indian names. And so their view of the world is shaped by that. And so you have to speak to them in a different language than from Black people. Amerindian people are there in the hinterland. They're not on the coast. They're not caught up with what we are caught up with on the coast. And so there is an interlandness about the Amerindian that you have to understand. And so you have to have a language to them. The Portuguese and the Chinese are what you call middlemen. In political science, we call them middlemen. They don't have the numbers. So they don't also get too much in the politics. They want the economics. And so they're about money. And so you have to speak to them in a certain way. And then there is that little bit, but it may be more than little. There is that 10%, 20% that all of us share. Whether we are Amerindian, Chinese, Portuguese, African, Indian, there's a 20-25% of the Guyanese-ness that we all share, and that's the Guyanese-ness. That 20-25 that we all can identify with. There is no doubt when you hear a good calypso, whether you're Chinese, Portuguese, Black man, East Indian, you hear a good calypso, you say, "Aye, by Kaiso, by Kaiso." There's no doubt that when a Chantabal walk out, little frail by with a bat in the hand, that all of us, regardless of our ethnic group, we identify with that. And so there are things that we identify with, and that is what we call Guyanese. But when it comes to politics, we don't have Guyanese in politics. We have Guyanese in culture. Even Black pudding. Because if you're from Boxer, from Black village, you know them Indian by them left, them Indian village, they come, they eat the Black pudding in them Black village, wipe them out and come back in them Indian village. So even things like the food we eat, there is a way in which we got anything. But when it comes to politics, we part. And we have to accept that reality. And so when it comes to politics, we have to have individual language. The individual language. And then there's a little part of the language we all can agree on. So, honest, I think the PNC got to get that right. Because the mood that Black people are in right now, they're not going to tolerate any leader of the PNC changing them and shameful call the name. You know, you get your mother, and because she ain't get the fancy dress or thing, you shameful walk with you. Or you get your boyfriend, he pass little ramp up, and he get a little naughty, so you shameful walk with him, and so on. You know, the party can't continue to treat Black people like that. But the party also has to recognize that it needs Indians. And so it has to speak directly to Indian people. It has to have a message for Indian people, which is not necessarily the same message to Black people. When you talk to Black people, you talk about reparations. When you talk about Indian people, reparations is not a big deal for them. So you can't, because you want Indian vote, don't talk about reparations. You have to talk about reparations to Black people. And then when you talk about Indian people, you have to address their issues. There are people who are, for the most part, they're small business people. They're large business people. You have to address business issues for people who are already in business. For Black people, you got to talk about business. We got to talk about how to get Black people in business. So, yes, you talk to all groups about business, but those who are in business already, talking about how to grow business. And those who are not in business, talking about how to start business. Two different conversations. Two different conversations. Honest, and a message back. And a message. Honest is the elder from Golden Grove, East Coast man, and I'm from the East Coast, so we work together, since the coalition and so on. And Honest is one of those DNC chaps, like Aubrey and so on, easy to talk to. The PNC man. He's a PNC man, but he's a PNC man who's able to set David here by, we make some wrong turn by, but we in this thing together and so on. Oh, sisters and brothers, Andrea Boston, I just said that one doesn't fit all, sister. We have to evolve on these things because people can scare you off. Andre saying that we have a plan for them. Come voting time, gonna have a big surprise in the box. All right. I like to hear that. This thing about violence. People just misunderstand. Black people, we just get vexed. It don't mean that it's violence we calling for. We have a right to be vexed. If you all people on a plantation for 400 years, and then the plantation done, they turn the plantation into village and you assault the villages. They're living with the scars of that bondage. And they have a right to be vexed. They have a right to be vexed. It don't mean that it's violence they're calling for. One of the most non-violent groups in the world is Black people. Very few ethnic groups could have gone through what we gone through and live with the former slave masters, and we don't go there every night causing troubleshooting up, broken up, and so on. Black people are people of love. We are not violent people, but the rest of the world pigeonhole us because we are militant, because we just get vexed and we just show we vexedness. We don't hide. If we vex, we vex. Or people in the village say, my stomach na bank house. Me not keep things inside too long. This is not one bank. We are let you know how we feel. And as a result of that, people are saying that Black people are violent. We're not violent. David is preaching violence. What violence? We have been the victims of violence. We are the victims of violence. We don't want violence in Guyana. We don't. Violence in Guyana will benefit nobody. Jagdo and them want to push the country into violence because they have this cynical way about them in which they don't mind 5, 10 Indian people dying because they will use those bodies to say to the rest of the Indian people, look, this is why you're going to vote for me. If you don't vote for me, this is what will happen. So they're prepared to use their own people as collateral damage. They are the ones who want violence. We don't want violence. If we say we got to take the streets, they turn that to mean violence. People take to the streets all over the world and they're dissatisfied. It is enshrined in our Constitution. The right to be in the open space. The right to be in the open space. And so this question of violence has to be put to rest. We are not advocating violence because it will not work in our interest. We are advocating justice. And we are saying that we are prepared to let you know when we are against injustice. And we leave the violence to you, Mr. Jagdio. We leave the violence to you. Because you have violence as part of your modus operandi, not us. We don't. We believe that we can have a political settlement. We said that the elections were inconclusive. You said no. You take power. You kick it left, right, and center, doing what you like. Setting police to kill my sons. You're taking all the money and giving to your supporters, none to us. And you expect us to sit down and say, we're taking it. No, we're not taking it. We are going to go into the open space and tell you, stop. Please stop. And come to the table and let's talk about how we're going to get this thing equal political power. So you can be making decisions for me because you don't represent me. The assumption of a government is that when it gets into power, it represents all the people. That is not so in Guyana. The PPP gets into power, it represents its own people. So you're not representing me. So I want to be in government. I want a share of the economic power. Not only the present, but what is owed to us 400 years. No pay. What happened to the money? It gone somewhere. It gone somewhere. So we owe we money. Plus the no money, they're giving it away and left we out. So we gotta let them know. Going to the street don't mean it's violence we want. If we want violence, we won't go on the streets. If we want violence, we gonna operate like a gorilla, like a ninja. We're gonna go in the hills, go in the back dam and shoot up in there. We are coming out in the open space because we are non-violent. Because we are non-violent. If we were violent, we would have gone in the bush and shoot up from there. And so this thing that we are violent, no, we have to change the narrative on that. We have to change the narrative on that. We are not non-violent. We're going to open the phones. We're going to open the phones in a couple. We're going to put the number up there. And we are going to open the phones so you can talk about who you're supporting, who you're not supporting. We're going to talk about anything and everything that's bothering you. Andre is saying they do what they want and then get upset when we ask for what we want. Like we're supposed to be quiet. Yeah. No, we're not going to be quiet. And we're not going to allow them to frighten us and say, we are not going to talk, because if we talk, or if we go up on the streets, we are the violent ones. No, we know we're the violent ones. We didn't kill 400 people in 23 years. We didn't kill Boston and all these boys that they've killed since they came back to power, Peter Headley. We didn't kill these people. In 5 years of the coalition, we didn't behave in that way. Yes, we made mistakes. But we did not behave in that way. And so we're getting ready. I'm asking the operator to put the number up on the screen so we can start taking your calls. Yeah, you know, they're talking now about life imprisonment for what they call rigging elections. Nowhere in the world People get life imprisonment. If you're a normal school teacher and you walk in on election day and you miscount votes, you can get put in jail, $10 million fine. Those are draconian laws that violate human rights. You can call us at 592-603-0010. 592-603-0010 is the number to call and let us chat and get your views. They look at an election and they decide that that election was rigged. And they decide that it's not their rigged election, it's somebody else rigged the election. And so they're going to make some laws to prosecute those other people. If you feel that election rigging is a problem, then call in everybody, call in the opposition, call in the Bar Association, call in GCOM, and say, let us sit down and figure out how we're going to stop this rigging together. But no, you take it upon yourself to create laws, and then you now want to use those laws to prosecute and persecute your political opponents. That's what it's about. That is what it's about. And we are not about to let them get away with that. We are not about to let them get away with that. The evidence about rigged election is there. Those 40-odd boxes are still there. Those people who the police found that voted but they weren't in the country is still there. They're still there. But what they want is that once they put these draconian laws, then Black people children will not volunteer to work on election day. And so all the returning officers of an election day will be, all the people in charge of the polling stations on that day will be people from the PPP who like the PPP and who are affiliated to the PPP. That's what they're aiming for. A total control of GCOM, total control of the staff on election day. On election day. The number to call is 592-603-0010, and you can let us get your views there on what's happening. Gary saying there, Dr. Hinds, the PPP is behaving like little tin pot dictators in a banana republic. Let them continue. It's a simple. Let the election petition be heard and put all doubt. I completely agree. Let the election petition be heard. Let the election petition be heard. The phones, I hope you don't have some technical problems with the phones there, but they're on the screen for those of you who want to call in. So we have to fight back. We have to fight back against these. We have to fight back against these people who are intent on taking the country down. They're intent on taking the country into chaos, and then they will take the country for themselves. You notice how Lennox Schumann, He's now saying that he doesn't think that the president wants a democratic society. Mr. Schuman, you didn't know that before? You didn't know that before? You didn't know that before, Mr. Schuman? You didn't know that the president, you didn't know that the president is not a democratic man? You didn't know that? The president is not a democratic man, but yet you all hung the coalition out of power, put this man in power, and then now, when you all are getting what you all expect, now you all crying out and say, the man not interested in dictatorship. This is what people in politics are saying. If the same the shoe on the other foot. I like when they talk about shoe on the other foot. If the shoe were on the other foot, would have done to the people, what would have done to the people. Be true, Mr. David Hinds. Rudolph, the PNC was in power from 2015 to 2020. Did you see the PNC running with any election laws saying they want to for life? Rudolph, the shoe was on the other foot in 2015. Did you see the PNC taking money and giving it just to the public servants and don't give the sugar workers any? The sugar workers get more money from the PNC than the public servants got. The sugar workers get more money from the PNC than the public servants got. We're gonna get some number there. I'll wait on the operator to put an alternate number on. Mr. Operator, if you check your message, you'll see that there is an alternate number there for you to put up on the screen because people apparently are not getting through on the number that's there. If you can check the messages. Yes, Rudolph, let me get back to you. The shoe been on the other foot. And I'm not saying that the coalition government didn't do some wrong things, but they did not discriminate in the way that the PP is discriminating. Did you hear a SWAT team went to Port Morant and go in a businessman house and shoot in his sleep in front of his brother and sister and his children, his wife and children? Rudolph, answer me. Answer me. The shoe was on the other foot. And the coalition, thank heavens, did not behave in that way. Give Jackie jacket. Give Jackie his jacket. So don't come on this program. One thing, when you are come on this program, you can't go fuffle and twist me up. Because we know we onions. We know the history. We know the politics. We know the TV. When you are coming, you are going to come good. 602-920-0120. That looks like a North American number. 602-920-0120. I think you call that number WhatsApp and you're going to be able to get through. The other number seems to be not a working number. 602-920-0120. If you're in the United States, and if you're from Guyana, of course, you all know what you all got to put to get through to a WhatsApp So waiting on your call. So Mr. Rudolph, the PPP has turned out to be the most violent political party in the English-speaking Caribbean. The evidence is there. The evidence is there. I don't have to defend the PNC. The PNC can defend itself. The PNC can defend itself. But I just got to talk the facts. I have to talk the facts. And the facts are that when the PNC was in power 2015 to 2020, they did not do that. They do that. Dr. Hinds is elected, installed catfish, de facto cabal government want to make Guyana a one-state country, but it won't happen. Thank you, Denise. You've said it correct there. What they want is to make our country a one-party state where only the PPP will exist. No, half of the country doesn't want the PPP as their government. And so therefore, they're not going to be allowed to do that. As we say, let human show sincerity by forgetting his. Thank you very much. As we would say in Guyana, pim pim. He is squatting on the deputy speaker's seat. That deputy speaker seat should go to the APNU AFC. If Mr. Schuman believe that the government is not doing as expected, the first thing he should do is to give up the seat which they gave to him. He should not have taken it in the first place. But he took it. And now we realize that he is in bed with scoundrels. He's in bed with scoundrels. Give up the seat. I completely agree with you, Desiree. I completely agree with you. Gary said he knew that very well. Schuman didn't drop from the sky. It's all about wealth and position for these folks. They all went. All knew that it was wrong. It was wrong. They knew that the election was inconclusive. They knew that the PPP did not win the election. I'm not saying the coalition won. I don't know, because it was an inconclusive election. And all of them went and talked about democracy and democracy. And now they get democracy. They're now trying to become saviors, when in the first place, they should not have gotten on that horse. They should not have gotten on that horse. Vibert is saying, are you hearing anything from Harman and the coalition? Not for no representation for black people. That's an issue that Harman will have to deal with. We'll have to deal with that. Ayub is saying 7,000 sugar workers last day, and they expect like that for severance. Listen, sir, 4,000 sugar workers, not 7,000. That's the first thing. That's the first thing that's wrong. The second thing that's wrong, even if they beg for the severance, they get the severance. They get the severance. I know they didn't beg. But if you saying they beg, they didn't have to beg for long. Because before 2020, they get the severance. When you all come, you better come good. You all just report, this is what Amanza Walton Desir was saying, you all repeat these things that the PPP give you all, and it becomes truth. Ayub Tajmul, I am sure that you're a bright boy. I'm sure you've been to school. Do not make people think for you. Be like me. Be like all them people this on this program. The PNC don't tell we this is it. When the PNC wrong, you spell the PNC wrong. But if he tell you 7,000 sugar workers and you accept it, and you gotta come on this program, put the evidence, teach you, and tell you there's not 7,000, it's 4,000. Right? Ayub, nice name. 4,000. And Ayub, even if them beg, governments all over the world, you just gotta beg them. It shouldn't be. But at least they get the severance. Jack your share of $250,000. You don't give black people none. Oh, Ayub. You say Ayub? Right and by that. You think it's fair? To get 250, they get the severance according to you. They get the severance, and that you give them $250,000 pantanda. Oh, are you? Oh, you think that's fair? Huh? Right and Linda said, Dr. Hinds, let him go to Parliament and make a motion against them if he means by saying, I agree with you, Linda. I agree with you. If Schumann mean what he said, then he must walk the walk. Go to Parliament, make a motion. Make a motion. Make a motion. As Sharma, you say you're a class mistake. Well, thank God, half of the population in Guyana think that I am not a class. Thank God. Thank God, Kesh Sharma. I'm an educated class. Jackass to you. But to half the population, I'm not a jackass. Man, when you all come on these programs, man, no, come on, you all tackle sense, no, man. Come on, you all, some Steins, thank God for you. You come and call Mr. Hinds a jackass. People will say, use the jackass. And use the jackass the taking right in. Use the jackass the taking right in. Them send you. They send you. Riding you and sending you. David Hinds, you are the one who said throw away the ballot boxes. You know why I said throw away the ballot boxes, Ayub? Because I know in them ballot boxes you want to find statutory documents. And I didn't want to shame you all. So I said, throw away them ballot box. Thank God they didn't take me advice and skin you up. Because I know what was in the ballot boxes. And I was saying, let us put aside those ballot boxes. Agree that this election gone wrong. Thank God they didn't take me advice. When you come, Tajmul, come good, come with another one. I know what's been in the ballot boxes. But no. And if they didn't take me advice, I want to get skin up. But they didn't take me advice, and you all didn't take me advice. And you get skin up. 47 or 48. I was trying to help you all out. When I said squash the election. Squash the election. Squash the election. And let me start over. But no, are you too damn licorice Liquish. You want everything for your own self. You all get everything for your own self, and you all are making a mess of it. When they said Kaisuko continues to bleed the treasury, you're more than the truth. More than the truth. Joy Marshall, a sense of pride. Tajmul, are you a moron? I like me people. I like me people. Are you a moron? That is called a rhetorical question. So you know what the answer is? You're a damn moron. Thank you, Joy. This is Joy Marshall from Boxing Mary Marshall daughter. Big up. Hey, hey, sisters and brothers, look, this fight continues. It has to continue because we are fighting for our survival in Guyana. We're fighting for survival, right? We're fighting to ensure that all Guyanese are free, including our Indian Guyanese brothers and sisters, our Amerindian brothers and sisters. They are as oppressed as we are, but of course they get some crumbs from off the table. We don't get any. For us, as Brother Bob said, the pot a bile, but the food not enough. Rain a fall, but the dirty tough. If the rain is falling, the earth is supposed to be moist. But for us who are not PPP, the rain is falling. The privilege that comes from the rainfall goes to the PPP people, none for us. For us, the dirty tough, even though there is rain. The food, the patabayel, but the food not enough. Yes, all of us got food in the pot. But if you get 10 picnic and me get 2 picnic, me get food for eat and shower, and you with the 10 children, there's not enough. Social inequality, economic inequality, social inequality. That is what we're fighting against. And we are fighting against the intellectual authors. The intellectual authors. And you know what? We are going to win. We are going to win because we got history on our side. We're going to win because we got righteousness on our side. We're going to win because we got reason on our side. We're going to win because we get God on our side. There's the God of justice, and there's the God of injustice. Some people will say the two don't go together, God and injustice. We are going to win because in the final analysis, Guyana belongs to all of us. All of us. We don't want everything. We just want our fair share and our just reward. I want to thank everybody for coming down tonight. I got a chance to talk to people and to get your comments. I think the phones didn't work well tonight, so we couldn't get any calls. But I think we were able to get a lot over and to get a lot of your comments and your views. And we want to thank you for that. Hello? Hello? Yes? Good night. Hello? Yes, go right ahead. I think you're on the air.
Hear me?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
Yes, are you hearing me? Good night. Good night, sir.
Yes,
How
go.
are you?
I am fine, thanks.
Yes, I am. Yeah. Okay. Um, I'm calling. I'm calling to make a few points as usual.
Yes, go ahead. Yes,
Yeah. So my first topic is the PPP, Mr. Jagdeo, as usual. Mr. Jagdeo is an uneducated fool, it would seem. I would like to make a point about this man. This man do not care anything about this country anymore. My first topic is cost of living. Cost of living is rising every day. Do you know how much for one cylinder, a 20-pound cylinder of gas, cooking gas, Mr. Hinds?
no, tell me.
It has gone to $4,200 now. And I can't understand why it is these stupid people in ExxonMobil is not re-injecting back the gas into where it's supposed to be so that we can have gas as well. They're just flaring it and they're just throwing it in the pollutant the sea with it as well. Why are they not putting it back into re-inject it back to the ocean floor and then bring it back up as gas so we could have cheaper gas? I can't see the point where a government or a country found oil and gas and they're not making much of the gas as well. They're focusing on the oil itself. And the prices for gas right now and oil, everything is going sky high. Which that commodity that they found there we were supposed to have it that as the cheapest one in Guyana because we found oil. Now, Mr. Jagdeo, well, the whole entire PPP cabinet, I think they're just fools. They're uneducated and they're just a set of illiterate, unscrupulous delinquents. And I don't know why it is taking so long for Mr. Granger to get them out of Parliament. I mean, they really need to do something about it. It's like, it is too much for the Guyanese people, man. It's like, these people have given you food and taken it back from your mouth. It's overrated to a point that I can't stand it anymore. You know, they still didn't take off the price for the COVID test. They still have a price tag on COVID test. And every day, every single day, the COVID is rising and people have to be paying for this test. I feel this test is supposed to be free because in various countries it is free. Because you cannot expect the people's salary is very low, cost of living is high as one, and you expect them to pay for this test when they need to get tests done. I mean, as everybody in the entire country have to get tests as well. Now, Jagdeo is speaking about, everybody's talking about Jagdeo intelligence. I don't think this man have any intelligence at all. For one, if you listen to Mr. Granger, I look at his show on Public Interest. Every show I look at it. I don't miss his show at all. And you see Mr. Granger would speak very, very eloquently, and he has this very, very intelligent way about his speech. You ever see him hold a piece of paper in front of him or have a piece of note that he's reciting from or reading from? There's no such thing with Jack. They write their speech and they read it in the public. You would see them looking down, reading. And Mr. Granger, whenever Mr. Granger is on Public Interest and I look at his show, this man would sit there and every topic or every question that is asked to him, he would answer it very diplomatically without a piece of note or a piece of text or script in front of him from his head. from his head, he would answer those questions. And the thing is, Jack, I would call, I have a nickname for these people right now, which is Moonshine Jack. They were in Flap Ali. I find that they're suitable names, the two of them. I think the two of them need to go in a nutshell and go to hell, because they don't serve any purpose right now. They're only taking up space on this earth, and they're doing a set of nonsense there. I am sick and tired of them, Mr. Hinds. I am so sick and tired of them. It's like I just want to go to Parliament and get rid of these people myself. If it was possible, by the way. Yes. If it was possible. I'm just sarcastically speaking out here.
As usual, thank you for coming through.
And Mr. Granger. Mr. Granger needs to step up, man.
Well, Mr. Granger is
they can't come close to Mr. Granger. Mr. Granger, they cannot even place their foot in his shoes and walk a mile. Yeah. Right? And but for my supporters who are supporting on the thing, I would like to support. I'm supporting Mr. Aubrey Norton. I think he's much more rough and more tough to deal with these people. I think he's the person to deal with these people because he's not afraid of them. Number one, he speaks what he has to say. He says what he has to say. He do what he has to do, and don't look at faces as this is a president I have. Bow down to him right there. He's saying what he gotta say. He does what he gotta do. He gets the job done. So I'm supporting Mr.
Aubrey Norton. All right.
Anyway, Mr. Hinds, you have a good night. And another thing I think we should do. The entire country is dependent on all the public servants. Isn't that so?
Yes.
I think the entire public servants should shut the country down, come off of work, go home, and leave these people to face this heat and let them see what they can do without the public servants. I don't think they will last one day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
They will last one day. The public servant is what is really running this country. Because if they don't have that, the country cannot survive.
Right. Thank you, sister.
They need to step up. They need to go home, pump their foot up, watch some TV, relax, and leave these people to suffer.
All right. Thank you very much, my sister.
Where do we go after that? Then you will see some action. Then you will get results. Result that you want, you will be getting after that. The public servant is the main man that they need to get shut down.
All right.
So every public servant, not everybody. The soldier, the nurse, the doctors, the teachers, the police, everybody needs to go home.
Thank you. The time will come. The time will come.
Just to punish a little bit. And then we will get action.
And will come.
That's my point.
All right. Good night.
Good night, sir.
Good night. There we go. Regular caller turning it up. I want to say it's been quite a show tonight. My friend Fitz Ralph. Dr. Hinds, how important is morality in life? Is there a morality that fits national leadership? Fits, the answer is yes, and that's a show by itself. Political morality. Fitz is an old-timer. Used to be on the streets with me and Mark and Lincoln and a person whose name we no longer call in this program. Fitz is one of the founder members of the AFC. A good man from McDoom, I think is that place they need to place them. McDoom or Houston. Fitz, good to hear from you, my brother. Good to hear from you, and good to hear that you're still and see that you're still up with what's happening. We're gonna talk about this morality thing by itself because that's a show by itself. Thank you very much. And Sherry, good night. Good night, Sherry. East Bank lady, I met Sherry at the East Bank little get together of my friend. Sherry, I'll tell your cousin Angie that I saw you this evening, that you were on and you were having a good time. I want to thank everybody for coming through tonight, and I'm glad that I got a chance to really say hi to individuals, some individuals, and to realize that we have a diverse audience. Tomorrow night, I'm going to have Mr. Christopher Ram. Now, I know you all going to say, Chris, the dep on the other side, and perhaps he's still on the other side. But like Mr. Schumann, Chris is realizing that the other side not doing right. So we're going to have Chris Ram on tomorrow night. And, we're going to talk about some of the issues. So a different voice. Chris has been one of those people who, being out there, we don't have to always agree, but Chris will be on tomorrow night. So see you all tomorrow when we would be talking to Mr. Christopher Ram on the issues of the day. And for those of you who wake up early in the morning, as usual, it's Tuesday morning, tomorrow morning, and I'll be on with my brother Kidaki, rocking and rolling for a couple of hours. Until then, David, I'm saying thank you so much, and I love you all very much.